Hi, everybody. Once again, this is going to be our session number 21 and 22, the second last session, right? Uh, we are just one session away, and we will be closing this batch. And thank you so much for being a wonderful audience till now, right? And in today's session, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss mainly migration, right? This session, the total session is going to be on migration. So if I say migration, what is the meaning, right? What are the considerations which you need to have during migration? Okay. What should be the sequence of migration? It is really important that what exactly you are planning to migrate first. Okay, because in SD-WAN there are multiple pieces like data center, branches, your campus. What exactly you want to migrate first and why, right? Then how can we simplify this migration process? And believe me, all of you, that SD-WAN at the end of the day is just the routing. And you can see when we do migration in SD-WAN, most of the things which are going to be there is from your routing domain. And you must be thinking that if that is the case, then basically, what is the purpose of learning till 20th session? Uh, Actually, through SD-WAN, you just create those IPsec tunnels, those control connection. But at the end of the day, you are just advertising routes, right? So in the migration process, your routing knowledge is going to be very important, whatever you possess from now. So it means whatever you know till now, it is going to be important here. Okay. So having said that, we are going to discuss more about what kind of topology customer is asking for and how you are going to include that. Okay. Then data center migration. The last thing is traffic path during migration, right? I haven't mentioned one thing here, which should be branch migration also, but I have included the board for the branch migration also. Okay, so do not worry about it. We are going to discuss each and everything. So this is the agenda for today's session, and I promise one thing to you: when you are at the end of this session, you are going to be pretty much comfortable how you are going to do the migration from the legacy WAN infrastructure to software defined WAN infrastructure. Okay, so let's move towards our first board, which is right here. Okay, so first thing first, what are the various migration consideration you are going to have, right? Uh, I believe you understand this diagram pretty well, right? No problem with respect to this diagram. This is my legacy network, right? Where I have this data center one, I have data center two, and now I have included one more thing which says that to connect these two data center, I have a private link, and I am mentioning that as a data center in interconnect, right? So every company, so I will go a little bit deep into this so that this is the topology which you are going to get when you go into customers network, right? And this is the general topology which I see across the many customers, that generally they have the topology like this, and I'm talking about enterprise networks. So generally they have data centers into different locations, and then they have multiple transports like MPLS, like internet, okay, and how they are connected. Then they have few sites which are pretty large. For example, campus, right? most of the employees come to the campus to work, and then they access resources in the data center using these transport, whether it's an MPLS or internet. Right? We have different kind of branches. If I say different kind of branches, the meaning is that they have different type of transport. Some branches are a little bit bigger as compared to other. So, and the employees presence is there, right? Then basically at that side we have different or two or more transport. Some site basically are pretty remote where you do not find even the MPLS connectivity, you only find the internet connectivity, and that's why you have only the internet connectivity there, right? So this is kind of the typical network of an enterprise from the WAN perspective. Although there are so many things at here also, like what you are going to see in data center inside this box, there is a completely routing infrastructure or switching infrastructure, right? Uh, and we are going to go into that because that is going to be important. Because right now, whatever the routers and switches you are seeing here, those are the legacy routers, right? And you need to convert everything from this legacy WAN to software-defined WAN, right? Now, what are the various things you are going to consider here? Okay. The first thing which you are going to consider is whether the controllers, what customer has chosen in terms of controllers. Okay. So as I mentioned you several times during this course that there are two methods or there are two ways these controllers can be deployed. What are those controllers? The controllers are vSmart, vWAN, and vManage. Right? Where exactly these controllers are going to be? The uh, first choice, and which is also recommended by Cisco, is Cisco Cloud Hosted Way. Right? What is the meaning of that? That Cisco is going to spin up these controllers in its own premises or into the cloud itself. Right? You just to raise a case with Cisco Cloud Ops team so that they can understand your requirement, and then basically they are going to spin up these controllers in the cloud. It is as simple as that. Cisco team is going to be there. They are going to spin up these controllers into the cloud, and they are going to give you the management access of the vManage. Right? So it is pretty simple. You just need a browser on your computer, right? Just need maybe you are using Chrome or Firefox, whatever it is, you just need that and you are good to go. You are good to go working on your SD-WAN fabric, right? So first thing first, what you are going to consider is whether these controllers, where these controllers are going to be. If I took an example from our last discussion, which we had yesterday, right? Customer was looking, he was not uh, looking to implement these uh, what we call these controllers into their premises. He was looking to have these controllers managed by Cisco, and that is why the customer Sports India was choosing that you take the responsibility, Cisco takes the responsibility, right? But believe me, there are some customers which are saying we do not want to implement the controllers at Cisco's side. Maybe those customers are the financial institutions which do not want to send their data outside. And that is why they are saying that they want to implement the controllers on premises. Very important thing. First thing first, you need to check in which model customer is interested, right? It depends on customers uh, what customer model of working is, because for some of the financial institution they are going to deploy all this controller on prem, so you should know how to deploy these controllers on-prem, as well as how you are going to deploy these customer with the help of Cisco. In the first case, when you deploy these controllers with the help of Cisco, you just need to raise a case, and Cisco is going to be responsible for managing, maintaining, and managing the complete infrastructure, right? If any of the device gets failed, Cisco is responsible uh, to uh, to come up with the other device as soon as possible. The first one gets down. Okay, so uh, on the second thing, and also Cisco is responsible for creating the what we can say the authentication between these devices, and we have discussed all these things, right? How authentication happens, and the second thing is what is going to happen when you deploy these controllers on-prem. And believe me, that is the way we have created our lab, right? We have deployed all those controllers in the lab, which means we are deploying them on-prem. And whatever the certificates requirements are there, you are pretty comfortable with that. What certificates should go at what device, right? You know now. Okay. The second thing which you need to consider is redundancy, right? In terms of these vSmart, vBond, vManage, how many devices you are considering, right? So uh, there are many scalable options available. Uh, if I give you an example, that Cisco has tested this vSmart, up to 20 vSmarts can be part of a single SD-WAN fabric, right? So we have some numbers here. You can find them easily on Cisco's website. But if you are looking for really higher kind of redundancy, so many vSmart, so many vBond, and then vManage is also, what should be the number? What customer is looking for, right? So first thing first, how these controllers are going to look. Then we need to also consider about the traffic path. Okay. So right now, if you can see, what should be the traffic path between, if I draw it from red color, between the campus to branch, right? Those are connected to MPLS. If I draw the traffic path between the campus to branch one, the traffic path is going to be simple. It is going to be on this MPLS, and then basically it is going here, right? So you need to check with the customer that in future what they are looking for. Are they looking for the same kind of infrastructure, whatever they have, or they want to, for example, here I could see the topology is simply hub and spoke. If every branch is connected to internet, sorry, not hub and spoke, the topology is simply the full mesh topology here. If any branch wants to communicate to any other branch, they can do directly, right, over this MPLS connection without any problem. No issues with respect to that. But if a branch is having the internet connectivity, and they must have implemented some overlay in the form of DMVPN or somewhat, then basically the traffic should go to the data center first to reach to the campus, right? So maybe customer has different kind of traffic pattern, but you need to understand those traffic paths, right? So once again, I'm repeating, first thing first, you need to understand what exactly the controllers model going to be on customer's network. The second thing is redundancy of those controllers. The third thing is traffic path, right? How exactly the traffic path is going on. The fourth thing is routing. As I mentioned, that most of the things when you consider, routing is one of the important part. If I say routing, what is the meaning of that? What kind of routing protocol the customer is running? Maybe here they are running BGP or OSPF. Similarly, here they are running OSPF or BGP, or maybe EIGRP, right? You need to understand what kind of a LAN and WAN protocol they are running right now. Okay. And then maybe on some of their branches, they do not have this infrastructure at all, the routing infrastructure, right? I'm talking about the dynamic routing infrastructure, although they are having, uh, this thing, right? What we can say, the static routing. Okay. So you need to understand that. Then basically the portion comes with respect to segmentation. If I say segmentation, what is the meaning of that? how much VPN customer is expecting at the service side, right? So suppose this is my router, my SD-WAN router. Okay, as I mentioned that VPN 0, which is right here, is basically your transport, right? And other VPNs which are on the LAN side, these are going to be your service side VPN. Very simple, right? And suppose now customer is saying that I need more than one VPN here, right? So he can say for the voice thing, for my complete voice infrastructure, I want one VPN dedicated to that. Maybe it is VPN number, say 10, right? For all other traffic, for everything else, I need VPN number 20. And then he is also saying for uh, for the uh, for my guest, I need another VPN and maybe say that is VPN number 30, right? Although this guest presence is only or at some bigger sites like campus and some of the bigger stores, if I consider yesterday's customer, right? Then he needs almost these three VPNs. You need to understand what is the rules of what is the role of these VPNs, right? One is for as I mentioned, this is for voice, this is for everything else, and then basically we have another VPN just for the guest, whom I am going to let only to connect to internet, and that is it, right? So you need to understand these requirements, what customer is asking for before the migration, right? Because customer can straight away say that in VPN 10, I want full hub and spoke, right? Sorry, in VPN 10, I want full mesh connectivity, because this way basically my branch can talk directly to the branch. But for other like everything else traffic, whatever the traffic I have, this is for VPN number 10. For VPN number 20, he is looking for only hub and spoke. And believe me, you can create topology on the basis of per VPN, right? Till now, we have explained everything from the consideration of having only one VRF, right? And we are talking about the policies, we are talking about the topology of that VRF. But in SD-WAN, you can create multiple VRFs. We all know that. And now I am saying in those VRF also, you can create it different kind of topologies. For VPN 10, it can be full mesh, which is a default behavior, right? In as well as basically VPN 20 can be hub and spoke, right? And then VPN 30, basically you are going to give him the internet connectivity because those are my guests. Okay, so all those things again repeating so that it is into your mind always. First thing, how you are going to deploy your controllers. It is going to be on-prem or it is going to be on Cisco cloud, right? You need to consider the traffic path, right? As well as both basically the controller's redundancy. This is important. Third thing, you need to consider the routing, how the routing is looking. Fourth one, which we just discussed, is the segmentation. How customer wants to segment its network. And if we talk about segmentation, we are talking about VPNs here, right? In terms of SD-WAN. And uh, yeah, these are the things. And now I think there are some more things to consider. Yes, the firewall ports. Most of the time we get confused here. What is these firewall ports? So believe me, the customer data center is going to be having data center in their data center. They have the firewalls, right? Implemented. And you all know that when you are going to place this device, your SD-WAN device into their data center, right? They need to go out to make a connection with vSmart, right? With vBond. The first connection is going to be with the vBond. And how can they make a connection? Because at the firewall, in each and every company's firewall, everything is denied. Means there is, if there is any new device which is running the new protocol, which is going out of internet, by default, firewall is not going to permit it, right? And of course, it is going to be based on the configuration present on the firewall. But generally, I have seen this, right? If you put a new device and you are going to put the new devices in these data center as a part of your migration, right? So when you put your SD-WAN devices here, this firewall piece is going to come into picture. So now from this new device, you are going to make the connection to vBond. The first connection is going to be from vBond, which is going out from this firewall. It means you need to open some of the ports at this firewall so that your initial connection can go through, right? And this is the problem with the routing folks. They just put their box there and they are saying that now it is the problem of customer network because I'm not able to reach the network, right? But you need to understand, you need to go above and beyond your role here. You need to understand that if you are deploying these devices into the data center, most of the data center has this firewall. And if this firewall is there, it means by default, some of the ports are blocked, right? But you need some ports to be open so that your newly connected device or the edge device can make connection over the internet. First thing first to this vBond, right? And by the way, if you've chosen that vBond is in Cisco Cloud, it is going to be on the internet. So you are going towards the internet, right? Firewall is there. So you need to come across a way, you need to make a document which you can give to the firewall team. That firewall team, please do open these ports, these IP addresses for me so that I can go and make initial control connections. Otherwise, this migration is going to be failed. So the firewall ports, whatever needs to be open, I have the document with me, and I can forward it to you. That document is also available on Cisco website, so no issues with respect to that. Okay, so having said that, I think you understand this firewall ports requirement. And the last thing, which is again very important, is the applications SLA requirement. If I say application SLA requirement, what is the meaning of that? We have all understood what exactly application aware routing is, right? Application aware routing was totally based on the fact that if a particular link is not performing well in terms of delay, in terms of jitter, in terms of packet loss, then basically we can move to a different link which is performing better on these parameters, right? But now you are going to migrate to the from existing WAN to the new SD-WAN. You need to understand what are the various applications which this customer is running and what are the various SLAs or service level agreements of those applications, right? For example, in customer network, most of the time customer comes up with few of their application which they say those are really critical application for them, right? And they say if something happens to these reachability to these critical application, my business is going to be down. So there is a business impact, there is a revenue impact, customer is losing something, right? So you need to take care because customer is coming up to you with these critical application that these are the most important application for me. Please make sure at any point of time these should not go down, or the application experience with respect to these critical applications should be good, right? Then you ask them that, then if it is the case, right, what is the requirement of these applications? So most of the critical applications, they have some requirements, right? Not critical, every application has some requirements. For example, they say the delay value, if you want to have the good experience with respect to this application. Suppose I am in the branch here and I want to access this application somewhere in the data center, right? This application is right here. There are multiple transports in between. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to access this application from here to here, right? So how much time it is going to take me from here to here and then come back? It is going to be a delay. And some applications are dependent on this delay. So the requirement of this application might be that it is going to perform good if this delay value is 90 milliseconds or less. I'm pretty good, no problem. But if this delay value is going above 90 millisecond, maybe sometimes it is going to be 140 millisecond, then basically users are going to complain that the experience with respect to this critical application is not good. Okay. And then basically in terms of packet loss jitter also, they have some more parameters which you need to consider, right? And if you think that this is the critical application, you need to monitor your active link bandwidth, whatever the link on which you are forwarding traffic of this critical application. You need to monitor that. And if that traffic or this link is not performing well in terms of the requirement of this critical application, which you also call SLAs, right? For example, for this critical app, the SLA in terms of delay is 90 millisecond. And if this link is not going to meet that, then basically you are thinking implementing application aware routing, right? If this link is not performing well, I need to check other links. Maybe this internet link is performing well at that point of time, or the other links are performing well. If it is the case, then I should not wait for this link to be down, right? Because it is already performing worst, then I need to move this application traffic to some other transport for the good experience, right? So you need to understand this thing. I think by this time you should be understanding, you should got the clarity that what I'm talking about in terms of whenever you are going for a migration, what are the things which you need to consider. Okay. And if you got that, then basically if there is any question, please do ask. I would like to take a pause of 2 minutes here so that you understand all the requirements and you understand what are the various migration considerations you need to have, you should look into when you are going for a migration for the customer. Okay. Any questions, guys, till now? Amit, Sumit, Virag, Jyoti, Rahul, Ashish ji, Vishal, Neeraj, or everything is fine?
No.
Perfect. So, yeah, go,
Vishnu, I have one question.
go ahead, Neeraj.
So instead of cloud, how we can migrate from migrate the thing in the frame?
Oh, yes. Basically, we haven't considered cloud in this, and thank you so much, Neeraj, for reminding me. Right? Uh, right now, if you can see, your current customer is also looking and not looking basically, if you consider our yesterday's example, right? Customer is already saying that they have moved into the cloud. They have the cloud presence now because they have already moved some of their application into the cloud. And they are saying that if anybody from the branches is accessing these cloud application, the experience is not good at all. So still they haven't moved their critical application into the cloud, but whatever the application they have moved into the cloud, whenever somebody from this branch try to access this cloud resources, right? They need to go via this data center over this link and then they are going to access it, right? So you need to, yes, I need to add one more point here, that you need to understand what customer is doing in terms of the cloud, right? And we have and why I haven't not included it, Neeraj, because we haven't understood what exactly the cloud concept with respect to SD-WAN, like cloud on RAM for software as a service, cloud on RAM for infrastructure as a service. We are going to discuss this in the last session, which is going to be the next week. Okay, but that is perfectly fine. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, in my current organization, some of the clients are refusing to move on the cloud service network. That's why I am asking to you.
But why
What?
why they are not going to move to cloud services? They do not want to use cloud services, you are saying.
Yeah,
But why?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking to you. So, what would be the possibility?
So from the WAN perspective, I could see from the WAN perspective, I could see the reason because of the means. If you see yesterday's customer requirement, even he is saying that whenever they move into the cloud, their application, because they have this stringent requirement that everyone should come to data center first before going to anywhere else, right? So the traffic path is long. If the traffic path is long, then basic and maybe there are many problems could be in those middle routers, right? So their experience is not bad. So maybe this is the reason. But yes, SD-WAN can solve the problem. We are going to understand infrastructure as a service or software as a service, and we are going to understand cloud on them. What Cisco is doing in terms of cloud, right? Because you have created your full infrastructure into the cloud, but the problem remains same. How you are going to connect? You are not going to connect directly from here to here, right? And although
Yeah.
a cloud provider says that you can create an IPsec connection, but that is my problem. If you create that IPsec connection directly with the cloud, right, then you need to manage that IPsec connection, and you cannot do that, right? First, you are getting IPsec tunnels for your SD-WAN solution. Then you are getting IPsec tunnel for the cloud. It is going to be really, really difficult to manage both these things, right? So we need to understand whatever we are doing here should be pretty good, pretty easy with respect to those management things also, right? With a single pane of glass, you can manage everything. Believe me, there is a solution for that, and Cisco SD-WAN can handle everything with respect to cloud. How we are going to do that, we are going to see in the next session, right? So, if there is any other question, I can take that. Otherwise, let's move to the new board where we are going to talk about what should be the sequence of migration, right? Very simple.
Vishnu, one more thing. I just want to know this. When you give an example of VLAN 10, 20, and 30, remember?
VRF.
In that, I think we are.
Yeah.
We just want to know, just want to confirm that each and let's say example we have a 10 VHs, correct? 10 VHs will VHs or CHs, whatever we have.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a VPN 10 everywhere, so VPN 10 by default will go and talk to each other unless until we will create a policy to block certain traffic from one source to another source, correct?
Correct.
By default, VPN 10 will be talk.
Yeah.
What about inter VLAN VPN? Like we have to do the route leaking or something. We have to create a policy or route leaking or something, correct?
Yes.
But they cannot talk default, correct?
Yes.
Right?
They so basically there's the main purpose you have created them so that they are totally separate. The routing domains are totally separate. But yes, if you want to have inter VRF communication or inter VPN configuration, then you need to leak some of the routes from this VPN to this one and some of the route from this to this one. And there are very simple policies for that. Okay. But your question is absolutely correct. So here you go with what should be the sequence of migration here. Okay. So there are only few things in the migration which you need to consider, which we have just discussed in the previous board, right? But here, what I want to showcase you, how you are going to actually do the migration, right? First thing first, just deploy the controller. This is going to be your first step, right? If you are using Cisco Cloud Ops, just tell them to deploy on your behalf. You need to provide some information like smart account details and other things, because if you have purchased all these devices from Cisco, all those information is already with Cisco, right? What devices you have purchased, what is their serial number, everything, right? But you need to give your some of your details to this ops teams. Then they can deploy your controllers. And in that period of time, basically, whenever you are going and raising a case to Cisco team, they are going to take some time. They are collecting the requirement, they are spinning up those servers, everything is automated. But yes, whitelisting and some of the things are there which take some time, because once these controllers are up and running, those needs to be whitelisted for your IP address. If I say whitelist, the meaning is simple, that only you can able to access that we manage, and from your specified range of IP address, and nobody else should be. Okay, so maybe suppose it takes 1 week of time. In the meantime, uh, okay, I made a mistake in this slide. So this is not the controller deployment. This is hub deployment, right? So first thing first, the controllers deployment. The second thing is you are going to work on hub side, right? Why you are going to migrate your hub site first? It is pretty interesting, and I will let you know, right? Why we cannot go directly onto the branches, right? Because when we do migration, we cannot do migration for all. Suppose a customer has 600 sites, right? Or the remote sites, and they have 2 data centers, just like our previous customer, yesterday's customer, right? They have more than 600, 700 sites, and they have 2 data centers. The problem is uh, we cannot do all the sites migration in one go, right? And if that is the case, then basically we have to come up with a plan that which sites we are going to migrate first. Suppose you have chosen 2 branches that should be migrated over this weekend. It means that 2 branches have already been migrated to SD-WAN, right? And the remaining branches, which are your 598 branches, still are on the legacy network, right? If you have moved the new branches to SD-WAN, one can talk over SD-WAN to another. Means if you have 2 branches, one is this one, maybe X, and this is Y. They can easily talk over SD-WAN because by default it's a full mesh communication, no problem. But how you are going to make sure that these 2 newly migrated branches can able to communicate to the legacy one or your data centers which you haven't migrated till yet, right? There is a problem. So what you can do, there must be something which is bridging this gap between the old sites and the newly migrated WAN site. That is why basically we take the DCs first to migrate, so that if the new branches which have been moved to SD-WAN wants to communicate to the legacy WAN side, they are first coming to your DC, which have already been migrated to SD-WAN, and then the traffic path is going to be like this, right? So data center is going to bridge the gap between non-migrated site to migrated site, right? That is why I'm saying you need to move or migrate your hub site or data center site first. First, you are going to deploy the controllers anyhow, no problems with respect to that, right? And if customer has chosen the model of cloud ops, no issues at all. You just need to raise a case and it is going to be deployed. If customer has chosen the on-prem, you need to take care of the authentication part, the certificates part, everything on your own, and the management of those devices, right? Hub, why we are choosing hub? Because that is going to bridge the gap between migrated and non-migrated site. The last thing is you are going to come at the branches. You are choosing some specific branches and then you are migrating them one by one. It is as simple as that. Okay. Any problem, any doubt with respect to the sequence of migration? Pretty good. No issues. Let's move to the new board. Now, whenever we do things, right, we try to make things simple, right? Just have this mantra with you. Uh, do not bring the complexity unless they are necessary. Just try to make things simple. I do this in my complete career. Previously, when I was learning, that was the phase when we introduced some of the complexities, right? But believe me, if you keep things simple, it is going to make your life easy. So in this board, we are going to discuss how we can simplify the migration. The first thing first, as I mentioned, why to take pain of deploying all these controls unless you are on a financial customer or there is a requirement that customer want to have these controllers on-prem. I do not see any value addition. Why do you want to do that on-prem, right? Cisco is responsible for them, right? Cisco can deploy them. They have a complete team who is dedicated to manage your controllers, right? So use hosted management, cloud hosted management, right? Use Cisco service. I do not see any particular reason other than the customer is willing to do that. That no, I do not want to share anything with the Cisco. I want all the controllers to be deployed on-prem. Then basically customer is saying, then you need to do that. But otherwise, I do not see a reason that why do you want to implement these controllers on-prem unless you are building your lab. Okay. Now the second thing is define templates and centralized policies. You know that we have talked about them, how templates can solve many problems, how templates can ease our life, right? If you use them wisely, how these are going to ease our life. If I give an example to you, right, and try to understand this, suppose as I was mentioning that we have some different types of site. We have this data center, right, which is running OSPF at the LAN site, suppose, and then basically it is going to have three transports. The one transport is maybe MPLS 1, this is MPLS 2, and we have internet also, right? This is going to be my VPN 0 side. This is going to be my say VPN 10 side, which is your LAN side. This is your standard DC. The other DC which is coming, the DC number 2, it is going to be the same, right? It is running OSPF. It is going to have three transport at this side. Do you see a pattern? You can see that this is my type 1 site, or I can say this is my large site because this is my data center. Okay, or let's say it is an extra large site because this is my data center. Most of the things are here. You can divide, and believe me, there is a specific reason why I'm dividing them as a type 1 or extra large site. This is the t-shirt size generally which we get from the mall, or basically you understand these size, right? Extra large, medium, small. You can define your sites like this, and you are going to place your SD-WAN routers here, right? Okay. Now consider the other side, which is your campus. Maybe this is again a large site. What you have here is you have one MPLS connectivity, you have one internet connectivity, and nothing else here. And then on this side, basically you are running OSPF. Can you see the difference between the large side and the campus? We do not have one transport here. It means that we can mark that site, and you can have several such large site into your environment. Maybe campus 1, and this is going to be another big store. If I take an example of yesterday's customer, the Sports India, maybe they have 7 or 8 such sites, or maybe more than 10 such sites, which are having this MPLS connectivity, internet connectivity, and then basically the OSPF connectivity, right? You can mark them that these are the size which are my large site, and I can say this is my type 2, right? If I go and discuss one more type of site, and believe me, once again, there is going to be logical reason why I am spending time here. I am going to make your life easy when you are going for the migration, or when you are going for the actual migration part. Okay, maybe you have some small sites or the medium site, right? which are having connectivity to internet. Now there is no MPLS here. Internet 1, we have internet 2, right? Again, we are running OSPF here. So this type of site, maybe you have such hundreds of sites in your environment. You can say this is my medium site or type 3 site. The fourth one, which you can notice that it can be a simple site which is pretty small. It's remote branch, right? So this one is your first. This one is your second. This one is your third. And the fourth one is basically your where we have only one internet connection. And then basically we are running static routing here. And we are calling this site as my small site. This is going to be your fourth site. If you plan this well, and that is why I was saying during these three words, PDI, plan, design, and implementation, put more time on this planning, right? And that is where what you are doing as a designer, you are doing all these activities, how customer environment is looking. And that is why I was saying that it is really, really important to spend time on customer network. Right now, this is the customer network, and you are planning to build these transports, these things as a part of new SD-WAN routers, right? If you have this kind of clarity that how templates are going to ease your life, you can have one template, device template defined for this, right? Only one template for all the type 1 site. And then you can push this template. And of course, this device template is going to contain many feature templates, maybe the OSPF, which you are going to put here, and then 3 interfaces and whatever this site is required. But believe me, because all these routers are going to be the same kind of thing, doing the same kind of things, right? The SD-WAN routers. You can push this one device template with the variables. Of course, the host name of this device is going to be different than this. Then you are going to put that as a host a variable. Right? Interfaces might be different, then you can put the interface's IP address as the variable, but believe me, everything else is going to be same. So if you have defined a single template for your type 1 or your extra large sites, then you can put that template right into put or push that template right from the vManage to these devices, and these devices are going to be up and running in no time. Very simple. You just need to plan, right? Similarly, when your similar branches are coming up, like type 2 branches or large branches are coming up, and out of those 10 branches, you have decided only these 2 branches should come up for this weekend migration. What you can do is you can define you have already defined the template for type 2 size, which says that it is going to have only 2 transports, some OSPF configurations. If you have VPN, some VPN configuration at this side, and you are good to go. You just need to push those configuration back onto these devices, your SD-WAN new devices, and these sites are going to be up and running, right? Similarly, now we are talking about 100 of devices, and you have built just one template, one device template for all these similar looking branches, which are going to have two internet connectivity. You can push them, and within no time, this thing is going to be up and running. Once again, repairing planning is going to be really, really important here. Okay. And what was the topic which we were discussing? The topic was how you can make your life easy, or how you can simplify migration with simple of use of these templates and then centralized policies. The centralized policies are the same thing, right? You understand those route maps, you understand those access lists, right? If customer is saying, I want to have full mesh in a particular region, and I do not want to have full mesh in another region, they simply want the hub and spoke. How you are going to do that? You have 2 regions with separate data centers. Basically, you are going to create policies for it. For full mesh, you do not need to define any policy because that is the default behavior. But yes, if you are doing anything else in terms of topology, you need to define those centralized policies right there. So if you are working on centralized policies, you are just a click away in achieving the results. If you have planned your templates well, again, you are one click away for your implementation portion, right? Use the power of zero touch provisioning, right? Try to make sure that suppose you are going to migrate 3 branches over the weekend. You have planned that I am going to migrate these 3 branches here, here, and here. You have complete infrastructure up and running, means you have vSmart, vBond, and vManage already configured, right? What exactly happens? You already knows that whenever this edge device here comes up, first thing first, it's going to make a connection the the vBond from here to here over the control connections, no problem here, so that it gets to know about where my vSmart is, where my vManage is, right? And totally you can totally automate this process such that you just need to connect this device into the transport, which can take you to this vBond, which has the reachability till this vBond. And once it is there, you just need to put this device, connect one interface, and everything is going to be automated. In terms of authentication also, because when Cisco ship this device to you, they are having their own certificate installed. And on the basis of that certificate, you can, this vBond can authenticate this device. So it doesn't mean that anybody can come and join your overlay. And we have discussed in those 2 security sessions, where we spend good amount of approximately 3 hours time there, right? Nobody can join unless there is a legitimate device. You put this device, you just connect to a transport. It is going to meet this, make a connection to the vBond to know all other things. Once it is done, the vManage is going to push the initial configuration or the final configuration to this device over the netcon protocol, and this device is going to be up and running in no time, right? If you are doing migration, you do migration so that it is simple for you. Do not add complexities unless it is required. Otherwise, it is going to make your life difficult. Use this simple approach. First thing first, deploy controller. Second thing, work on your hub or the data center side. The third thing is migration. Use this simplification method. Use Cisco's cloud hosted management. Otherwise, you need to be responsible for all those authentication, all those management thing. Use templates wisely, right? Use the power of centralized policies and use zero touch provisioning. If you do that, your life is going to be pretty easy. Any questions, guys? Am I making any sense? Am I audible, or is there any problem in the connection? Virag, Jyoti, Rahul.
No, you're clear.
Audible. Yeah.
Okay. So you got everything, guys? Say at least yes, no.
We are trying, sir.
We are trying. So it is difficult, or means if I say, see what I have just told in this discussion. You just divide your site types. It is going to ease your life, and that is it. What I'm saying. If you can divide, if you can name them that this is my type 1, and on the what basis you are naming them? On the basis of transport. It is as simple as that. And the routings, whatever the interfaces, whatever you have, you can have that. Means the customer is going to give you all the site diagrams. If they are not giving, then they are not serious in their migration. You ask them, what are your different sites? Means if they have 600 sites, just ask them the information about 600 sites. Each and every topology, just go through them, just divide them. Once you have divided them, then basically you can come up to the template, because at the end of the day, you want to make your life simple during migration. If you do the planning portion, it is going to be simple. Otherwise, I have seen projects which takes approximately 1 to 2 years to complete. And believe me, it shouldn't be the case, because SD-WAN is pretty fast. If you are putting too much of the time, then basically something is wrong with respect to your planning. Okay, do planning well. The point of this board is do planning well and have simple strategies. Now here the topology considerations. What exactly customer can throw on you, right? Some of the customer are pretty happy with this full mesh. They have only 50 to 100 sites, say. They have pretty good routers with them, the edge routers. Doesn't matter if this is DC, this is and this is edge 1, this is edge 2 or edge 3, maybe the part of different branches, maybe, right? They just want a full mesh connectivity between them. And believe me, you do not need to do anything if they are asking to do this, right? And what is the reason? The reason is because full mesh connectivity is the default behavior of SD-WAN, right? So there could be many options customer can choose, but generally they choose full mesh, hub and spoke, maybe the partial mesh sometime. And then basically we are going to discuss the regional mesh design also. But for now, for example, for any customer which is having means 50 to 100 site or 200 site, and they are just have the connectivity where everything can talk to everybody, right? Then just give them the full mesh connectivity, or just showcase the customer that these are the various options. So this is for a small enterprise. Now consider this one, right? Hub and spoke model. So this customer has two data centers, DC1, DC2, and what they have decided is that all these branches should not be able to communicate to each other directly, and that is why you do not see a direct tunnel between them, right? And from where you are getting only tunnels is from the data centers, right? So whatever the traffic path is going to look like this. Means if this edge wants to communicate or this branch wants to communicate to this guy, it is going to be always like this, right? It is as simple as that. And if I recall you, means if I go to how we are going to achieve this, we are going to achieve this by configuring our policies in vManage and pushing that policy into the vSmart, right? It is very simple. Suppose you can name these things at your, you can name them, these are my edges, right? And if I remind you the concept of site list, suppose you have deliberately chosen that this branch, whatever your branches are, where your edge routers are, should come between 1 to 100 as a site number, say. So you can define the edges, or basically my branches are going to be anything which have this site number 1 to 100. Similarly, you can define this data center, right? Whatever, and you can define that from 200 to 300, whatever it is there, it is going to be my data center, right? So if I see these two things, and if I say this one, my data center is this one, DC1, DC2, right? And my branches are these one. At the first place, whenever they initiate a connection with the vSmart, they all send routes to the vSmart. And now you can control all this routing information on the vSmart. And that is the whole sole purpose of this SD-WAN through the vManage by using control policies, right? What you can simply say is that we discuss about two things. One thing is T-lock. I am just reminding you guys, we have discussed in pretty detailed, right? What all these devices advertises. One thing is T-lock, which is to make IPsec tunnels, right? The second thing is the virtual routes, all the routes, whatever we have at the service side. These are going to advertise, everyone is going to advertise. So vSmart knows everything. It knows all T-locks, all virtual routes. So what is going to do, right? By default, everything is there. If you do not do anything, then these guys, even these guys can initiate a tunnel between them like this. You do not want it. So what do you say? That what exactly this edges receives, or what exactly these branches receive? They should receive only the T-locks of data center. If they receive T-locks of data center, they can only make these tunnels and nothing else. in terms of virtual route, they need to receive virtual route for every branch, right? But if they are receiving the virtual route of other branches, then it should go via data center one. So what you are going to say, permit all the virtual routes, right? But set the next hop as DCT lock. This is the simple way how you are going to implement this topology. It is as simple as that. If you do not get it, just check those videos. Now this entire course is pretty good, I would say, right? We already have 20 hours of content with us. And believe me, if you do that along with these 2 hours, you are going to be pretty good with respect to SD-WAN, right? Do not worry about any interview, any podium where you want to go and talk about SD-WAN. If you want to propose a value of this solution, you can do that. You can design any network from scratch. It is as simple as that. Now, the third topology is we are talking about a customer who is very, very large, right? Who's, sorry, just wait a minute, guys. Yeah, so am I audible now? Am I audible, guys? Virag, Jyoti?
Yes, Vishnu.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying is we are now talking about a customer who is pretty large, right? They have various regions, like this could be the Asia Pac region. This is your EMEA region, Europe and all, right? And this is basically your maybe what we can say America region. Okay. So three different regions. And what this customer want is that inside a particular region, I want full mesh. Because he cannot have full mesh with between all these regions because of two reasons. The two reasons are, the first one is that if this customer is so large, then basically you are going to test the upper limit of the IPsec connection which this device can make, and you do not want to do that, believe me, right? And the second thing is this customer doesn't want to have created the direct tunnel between two different regions because of the security reasons or something like that, right? So what this customer is looking for, he's looking for a scalable solution where maybe even this region can have only between 100 to 200 uh, edges, or maybe 300 edges, or basically 300 sites. Similarly, here you have 300 sites, here you have 500 sites, say. So inside a particular region, this customer doesn't care. That is perfectly fine. I can have full mesh, no problems at all, which means it is going to be your default behavior. This is going to be your default behavior inside a particular region. So no issues with respect to that. But now he's saying that between the regions, I have defined several branches. For example, this could be my DC1, this could be my DC2, or if I have only one data center, this could be my data center 1. Here I have another data center where I have these two routers, and here I have another data center. So basically now between the regions, I want full mesh connectivity between these data centers only, right? So how is going to be the traffic path between, first of all, inside region? If this branch wants to communicate to this branch, they can go directly, no problems at all. Let me choose another color. But now, what is going to happen if a particular branch in a particular region wants to communicate to another region branch? Then how is going to the traffic flow? We are in Asia Pac and we want to go to Americas. The traffic is going to be coming to your data center first, and we are calling the data center at a particular region as a regional data center. So your regional data center is going to be the exit point. It is just working as a default gateway, right? And then basically you are going over this full mesh tunnel, and then you are accessing this branch. It is as simple as that, right? So between region, you are going to first to the regional data center, which is nothing but these data center which you have defined, right? So generally into a particular region, so if I have opened my offices in Asia Pac region, I have one data center there. I have another data center in other regions, right? So that is going to be my default gateway if any branch wants to go out of this region and connect to anything else in different region, right? So I could see these three different kind of topologies, and believe me, this thing is also possible pretty easily if you understand centralized policies well, right? I want to leave it till up to you. You just need to plan. You just need to plan. I am choosing another pen, red pen maybe. Okay, this one. So you just need to plan whatever your branches are. Just this is my region one branches. Just name the sites properly. Then basically these are going to be my region one data center, right? You just need, if you can do this segmentation on the basis of site ID, you can control routing, routes, as well as T-log. If you can do that, you can come up with this topology very, very easily. Although it is looking complicated, but believe me, when you think all these things, it is going to be pretty simple. Okay. Any doubt, any problems with respect to this, guys? Can you understand this board? No, yes. Okay, at least say you I am audible.
Yes, Vishnu.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
So it's been already 1 hour now. Okay. So because next board are going to be pretty tiring from the perspective of uh, means you need to put some your mind into these boards. So I would say let's take a break of coffee, or let's take a break right now, right? And we are going to meet within 10 minutes. Is that fine?
Sir, I have a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead, please.
Yeah, just go to the previous board.
Yeah, sure.
In this three topology, how scalability will differ?
How is this is the scalable solution, right? And why basically it's a
Mm.
scalable solution? Because see, suppose you just count the number of branches in all the region, right?
Mm.
Just count the number of branches. Suppose this is having 300, this is having 400, and this is having 500. 500, 400, 900 plus 1200 branches you have, suppose, right? If you say
Mm.
everything is going to talk to everything and you want to have full mesh, it's a problem,
Mm.
right? How many tunnels you are going to have? 1200 into 1100 divided by 2, right?
Mm.
Too many tunnels, which you do not want. And that is why customer is saying inside a particular region have full mesh, right? And if you want to
Mm.
add another region also, you can do it easily here. So this way, basically, this is going to be a scalable solution. Just try to understand this within, if I say, if you, okay, I want to give you an example with the OSPF, right?
Mm.
OSPF says everything needs to be connected to area 0,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of that, right? What is the purpose of, first of all, why they are creating areas, right? So
Mm.
generally, in a particular area, if you run, if you have several routers, maybe 50 or 60 routers, right?
Mm.
Generally, OSPF runs an
Mm.
algorithm, which is shortest path algorithm, right?
Mm.
Which is processor intensive, CPU intensive, okay? And it needs to run that algorithm whenever there is a topology change, okay? Suppose in all those areas, uh, if, a standard design practice says you should have 50 to 55 areas maximum into a particular uh, area, right? But suppose you do not have this boundary of multiple areas, then you can have maybe 1000 routers into a particular area. Then it is going to be a problem. And then in this 1000 area, if somebody is doing a simple change or few changes, then basically your SPF algorithm is going to. That is why they are dividing this thing in area, right? And that is what we
Yes.
are doing here through this topology. That inside, just try to think the inside everything is fine, full mesh is running. But if we run the full mesh everywhere, then basically you are going to have these many tunnels, which you do not want. And customer is pretty
No.
aware of that. That's why he's saying, give me this kind of hierarchical topology. Did you get the answer?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Vishal ji, Ashish, Sumit, Amit, any questions you have? Virag? Okay. So no questions. Let's meet in 10 minutes. Okay. I'm going to just stop this recording. So here you go. Now, so now we talk about data center migration. So when we were discussing, there were a specific order which I recommended, and the order was first thing first, you deploy your controllers. Okay. And if controller piece is done, then the second thing which we are going to do is moving or migrating your data center. Okay, so this is the typical data center which we have. We have servers here, we have load balancer, we have firewall, servers, and again then we have distribution switches or the switches which are directly connected to these servers. Maybe you can have extra layer like leaf layer if you have a spine and leaf architecture there in your data center, but that doesn't uh, that is not the topic of discussion here. You have your data center network. Maybe you are running OSPF here. That is going to be again perfectly fine. And then basically you are having different subnets here or the VLANs, subnet 1, subnet 2 here, and many such subnets, right? Then you have your vantage, or which we call your transport facing routers. By the way, guys, these are your legacy routers, which we have not converted. I just wanted to make sure that whenever you are going to the customer environment, you are going to see this kind of data center there. And now you need to decide exactly where you want to put your SD-WAN resources. Sorry, not resources, SD-WAN devices, right? And by the way, you are going to see always the brown field. The WAN network is already there. The LAN network is already there. Okay? Where exactly you are going to fit your SD-WAN devices. If I say SD-WAN devices, I'm talking about edges, because your controllers are already deployed as a first step, right? You have brainstormed across different things here. What are the different site types, how your data center is looking. But now the question is, if I give you a VH or CH router, which I'm calling a SD-WAN router, where exactly you are going to place it into this data center? Any thoughts, guys? Anybody? Anybody? Because and why I'm asking this question, because you do not want to disturb customer network at all. You do not want to disturb it.
So can we put it as a leaf?
Okay, one suggestion is, can we put it as a leaf? Okay, anybody else? If there is a leaf and spine architecture, anybody in, suppose this is not a leaf and spine architecture, this is a pretty simple diagram. We have distribution switches, we have routers. Where exactly we can place our SD-WAN routers?
Towards the transport layer, transport connections.
Directly. So basically you are saying to remove these routers and then replace these.
Right.
then basically we are talking about the traffic disruption, right? Because
Or
this,
maybe, I mean,
Mhm.
okay, okay.
Right? We do not want to,
Connect to this
uh-huh.
connect to the switch where our routers are connected right now.
This is interesting. This is in fact good. Okay. So Vishal is saying connect them over the switch. Perfect. Anybody else? I got the answer actually. So let's see the next board where I have actually placed the new edge routers. Okay. So I think you got the problem. This is going to be the data center network which you are going to see in most of the cases. Pretty simple network, unless the customer has ACI or spine and leaf architecture, you are going to see this. If there is the ACI also, it is not going to be it is not going to be a problem. But yes, you need to consider that whenever you are going to place your device, which is your SD-WAN device, you need to consider that you should open some of the ports here, which we have already discussed. Otherwise, whenever you place this SD-WAN device, first thing is it is going to make a connection with vBond. And if it is not able to reach to the internet where your controllers are, then basically it's a problem, right? So let's see on the second board, on the next board, where exactly we are putting our data center devices. Here you go. Although whatever I have drawn here, believe me, it is not the only thing which you can do. You can do many such topologies, but just for the simplicity's sake, what I'm saying is I have connected one link here, although there should be another link also with this distribution switch. The other link is with distribution switch. So basically we call this as bow tie, right? Connections. And similarly, basically on this SD-WAN router or the edge routers, we have one connection towards MPLS. There should be another connection towards the internet. One connection on this router is uh, towards the internet. We should have one connection towards the MPLS also. This is as simple as that, right? Pretty simple. Now let's draw this. What exactly I'm trying to do here is, this was my V edge or C edge, suppose, right? It is divided into two parts. One is your service side, and the other one is your VPN side, right? At the VPN side, basically now we have connectivity into MPLS, and I have connectivity into internet. So I have flipped this diagram accordingly because generally while drawing what I did is, this side is my service, this side is my VPN, but I am drawing now this one edge, so I have flipped it, right? The above side is service, the below side is VPN 0, but you can understand, right? So this service side is connected to the different distribution switches here, right? Whatever we have. So this is going to be my service side, or maybe say VPN 10. It means that whatever the routing protocols or subnets you were running here, suppose this was my subnet x.x.x.0/24, and this is again another subnet y.y.y./24. Now what is going to happen? You are going to run OSPF between this switch to your vEdge. It means that you are going to learn all these routes into this vEdge. It means that this vEdge is going to know that in its VPN 10, which is the service side VPN, that it is going to be it is going to know that x.x.x.0 is reachable via this switch, and y.y.y.0 is going to be reachable via this switch. It is as simple as that, right? So what you just did, you connected your WAN edges or the SD-WAN WAN edge routers into this data center right here. Okay, you have connected the service side into this distribution so that you can learn the LAN side of the infrastructure, right? and then you have connected to the transport, and you are defining your default routes here so that you can make connections. So once this WAN edge comes up, it is going to make a connection to what? It is going to make a connection with this. Suppose this is my vBond device. And then basically it is going to know where my vManage is. vManage is going to push the initial configuration, whatever you have given as a template for this device. The configuration is going to be there. And then basically it is going to make a tunnel with the vSmart. And generally we choose green color to define the tunnel connections. So the tunnel is going to be like this. And what is this tunnel? This tunnel is going to be your OMP connections, where you were running your DTLS connection, where you are going to run your overlay management protocol. Once you are learning this vSmart is going to know about your newly learned route, right? x.x.x.0/24 and y.y.y.0/24 is reachable over these two transport. Suppose this one is transport number 1, this one is transport number 2, this one is transport number 3, this is transport number 4. So basically you are going to see that all these routes are able to reach via T1, T2, T3 and T4. It is as simple as that. Now, along with the migration, I just wanted to showcase you exactly how the things are happen. You have connected your edge. It is going to make a connection with vBond to learn where my vManage vSmart is. It is going to create connection with your vSmart, the DTLS connections or the control connection where you learn OMP, and the first thing it is going to do is whatever it is learning, it is service side, or whatever it is learning on this VPN side, it is going to advertise all those subnets or virtual routes via this OMP to this vSmart. vSmart now knows that these routes are reachable over these transports. These are your virtual route. This is your transport location. It is as simple as that. Anybody having any doubt understanding this? We have just migrated the data center without disturbing any existing traffic of the customer network. Anyone, any doubt, any questions on this board?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, can you repeat this one once more?
Which part exactly?
After this one, when we have migrated, when we have doing the configuration of the OMP.
Okay, so when you bring up this device, right, SD-WAN device, you have connected two of its interfaces into the switch. You have connected two of its interfaces into the WAN edge router, right? So these are going to be its transport T1, T2, T3, and T4, right? And this part is going to be your VPNs, the service side VPN. The first thing first, this guy is doing. It is going to connect to vBond. vBond is letting him know that where its vManage and vSmart is. The second connection, it immediately forms to vManage to know what is its configuration, the initial configuration. We are talking about zero touch provisioning, right? So vBond is going to tell it's the vManage address. It is going to make a connection with vManage. vManage is pushing the entire configuration on this devices so that it can configure OSPF, it can configure this transport side. It is pretty easy, right? Which we have discussed in several classes. Then the third thing, it is going to make a DTLS tunnel, which is your control connections, right? Over which you form the OMP neighborship. So this guy is now neighbor with the vSmart, and the first thing it is going to do is it is going to advertise all its subnets, whatever it is learning at this VPN 10 from this subnet as well as this subnet. Okay, let me choose the yellow pen so that it is visible. So this subnet as well as this subnet is going to advertise into the OMP here, and this vSmart is going to learn all these subnets, and it is going to say that it is learning via these transports. Very easy, right? Anybody?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes,
Any questions? I think Neeraj, you are okay. Vishal, you are good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about you, Sumit, Virag, Rahul, Ashish ji?
Yes, see, all okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move to this board now. Now we are talking about the branch migration, and then eventually we are going to see that when we shift one branch into another branch, sorry, when we shift one branch and the other branch are not SD-WAN ready, how the traffic pattern is going to be, right? So now we are talking about the branches and where to fit SD-WAN routers on those branches, right? So this is my branch one. Suppose this one is the branch one. This one is my branch two. And here I have my old legacy network. Here I have this one MPLS network, and this one is internet network. So this old device is having connectivity with both the transport, and this device is having connectivity with only MPLS, right? So we are going to discuss two scenarios. First thing, this device is running ASR 1002 HX maybe, right? And it is already running the XC code. So the customer says, I do not want to replace this device with a new SD-WAN device. What I want is you replace this device and it should be up and running. So if it is running already the XC hardware, you just need to upgrade this XC to the code which supports SD-WAN. And then you boot into that SD-WAN image. But the problem is it is going to require the downtime, right? Because you are making this device down for the hardware upgrade, sorry, for the software upgrade, and sometimes basically the ROM uh, upgrade is also required, right? So you can see what kind of upgrade we can do on the Cisco website, right? If you are running the ASR routers with a specific code, how you are going to migrate or to upgrade to a newer code which is supporting SD-WAN. Complete guide is there, right? What exactly steps you need to go. But believe me, when you are doing the software upgrade or this ROM upgrade, the device reboot is the necessity, right? And if we are rebooting the device, then basically whatever the device is here, who is accessing something into the data center which is connected to the MPLS, then this device connectivity is not there. And that is why basically sometimes you want to do it in the midnight, or if this branch is really important, or you are doing this over the weekends, right? So that is where basically your migration window comes into picture, that in which you says that I need a downtime of at least 1 hour. Within 1 hour, within 1 hour, I'm making sure that this branch is going to be migrated. So how you are going to do this, right? In your vManage, you have already created a template for this branch, right? That whenever this device with this serial numbers comes, I am going to push a configuration which I have created, the template. And where these templates are coming into picture, see your planning, see the 3-step plan design implementation, right? In the planning phase, you have created that this is my site type, which is connected to two different transport. Maybe this is my medium site type or the large site type, and I have created a large site type template, right? So what is going to happen whenever you upgrade this router with a new code, the SD-WAN code? The first thing first, it is again going to make sure that it can reach to vBond. If it can reach to vBond, it is going to make a transient tunnel. Why I'm saying transient tunnel? Because this tunnel is not the permanent one. It is going to make a DTLS connection with vBond. vBond is saying that this is your vManage address and this is the address of your vSmart, right? The second thing is going to do is it is going to connect to your vManage over the again permanent DTLS connection, right? The vManage is going to send the initial configuration which you have created on previously during your planning phase. The configuration is going to be pushed here, and all these things are going to take on within less than a minute time, guys, right? If you have done your planning well, this migration is not going to be of 1 hour. Maybe it is going to be finished in 10 minutes with the test you wanted to perform, right? You are rebooting these devices. Once it is done, it is going to take the configuration. And when it is going to take the configuration, it is going to connect to the third piece, which is your vSmart, right? It is going to again connect over the vSmart again through this TLS, DTLS tunnels, right? vSmart is going to push the routes. You remember, if we consider these two boards similar, right? Here I am showing you data center. Here I am showing you the branches side. So understand the data center is already there. And there basically in this vSmart, we were learning two routes, two data center routes, x.x.x.0 slash 24 and y.y.y.0 slash 24. We are learning only these routes there, right? It means that these routes are going to be advertised over this DTLS tunnel. It means that this branch is going to learn x.x.x.0 and y.y.y.0 is reachable from those transport T1, T2, T3, and T4, which are your data center transport. It is going to be there. Those routes are advertised here. It is going to be as simple as that. I think in this scenario, you can understand that if you are replacing the device because you have a device which is capable of doing SD-WAN, you can replace it pretty easily. But yes, again, I am giving more focus on the planning portion. If you have done your planning well, this 1 hour maintenance window can be greatly reduced to 20-30 minutes. Okay, or maybe you can ask for a maintenance window for 2 or 3 hours, and there you can say that 1 hour is going to be the downtime. Any problem? So, guys, do you understand these words, migration window, downtime, or do you have any problem in understanding them? I think everybody understand that.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do not, because I am
No,
using
Vishnu.
the terms pretty frequently, because I see that we all are the network engineers and we have heard all these things. But if anybody is having problem understanding those words, please do let me know. And there shouldn't be any hesitation. Okay. I'm just repeating, if I say migration window, it is the amount of time which you are saying, which are asking for from the customer, that I need this time so that I can migrate this branch to the newly converted SD-WAN branch, right? And then if I say that there is a downtime, which means that basically users are not going to be, means I am presuming that users are not going to be connect to the services, or they are not going to use the network unless we are working on this, what we can say, unless we are till we are working on this maintenance window. Okay. Any doubt? Any questions? So shall we move towards the new type of migration? So suppose here, the second type in this branch 2, this device, which is only connected to the MPLS, is running pretty old router, which is not capable of doing SD-WAN, right? So customer has decided for such sites, we need to use the device which we already bought from Cisco, right? So they have some of the device which they have already purchased from Cisco, and now they want to put that device here, right? So there are two ways. Now basically you can say that I do not need a downtime, because what I can do is I can place this router here, right? I can connect my transport to right here, and I can say this is my transport 1, which is basically I can do the routing so that this will become my MPLS transport. And the service side, I am going to connect to this switch, whatever is connected here, right? So once again, whenever this my SD-WAN routers come up, it is going to do the same activity, right? It is going to the vBond, collecting information about the vManager and vSmart. vManager is going to push the initial configuration, whatever the configuration you have decided for this guy in planning phase. Then it is going to get all the details, all the routes in its routing table from the vSmart. After making the DTLS connection, OMP connections, it is going to publish whatever the LAN side it has there, right? Or basically you can switch to this side, subnet by subnet, or the VLAN by VLAN, whatever you want. So believe me, the migration approach which you are going to choose here is totally dependent on your existing knowledge of switching, because most of the times if the customer is having more than one router, he might be running HSRP here or VRRP, right? Which are the redundancy protocol. They might be running OSPF, BGP to learn. Whatever they are doing at the service side, it is dependent on your knowledge, whatever knowledge you possess right now. It has nothing to deal with the SD-WAN, right? What you are doing with respect to SD-WAN is you are just creating this control connection, you are learning the routes, and that is it. But yes, the important part is now you have shifted these two branches into the SD-WAN, right? But there are multiple branches which are not connected to the SD-WAN. How the communication, how the traffic path is going between migrated SD-WAN and not migrated SD-WAN is the thing which you would like to see, right? Because no customer is is interested in the traffic disruption. They are not going to say that if you have moved your some of the branches, then they can be, although they can be easily able to communicate with each other, but it shouldn't be the case that these guys, the converted side, should not be able to communicate to other side. There should not be any traffic disruption. Okay. But before moving to the next slide, next board, uh, if we have any questions with respect to branch migration, because we are already done with our 3 steps. And what were those 3 steps? The 3 steps were, the first thing was deploy your controllers. The second thing was migrate branch, sorry, migrate data center. And the third step was migrate your branches one by one, or basically in bunch. We have already done all these 3 steps. Now what we are going to say is the traffic path during the migration effect. So this project can go for a 6 months long, where we have the case that starting 200 sites have been moved to SD-WAN and 300 sites are not. So how the communication is happening between these two, right? So this is the point to discuss. Uh, any questions on this board, guys? Any questions?
Vishnu, how many customers do the proof of concept or like a lab kind of testing, or let's just putting a identical site in the lab and check each and every use cases. That will be the also good idea to prepare everything before
Many.
we go on the
Virag, sorry,
actual.
Vishal,
Yeah.
many use this approach. They have the, for example, for many customer who has their old routers and switches, right? They cannot move to the SD-WAN code, the new code, and what they are doing is they are just getting the parallel setup and then they move one by one. Okay, I have seen this with many customers. But you should be ready for all type of migration. Like some customers have just purchased the new devices. They have just changed their complete WAN infrastructure. They are using XE already. They have ASR devices, right? So it doesn't make any sense to move to the new device just for the sake of SD-WAN. So that is why basically Cisco is coming up with this option of upgrading your operating system, and then you are good to go with SD-WAN. Okay. Any other questions, guys, on this? No? Yes? Okay, good. Let's see what we are having here. Traffic path during migration. So in this board, this data center is already migrated, right? We have this branch which is say already migrated, and it should be your SD-WAN edge, right? And this branch, say branch number, this is my branch number 1 and this is my branch number 2. This branch is not migrated. This is your old branch. Everybody gets the scenario. What we are going to see here is that this complete branch you have migrated to SD-WAN. The first step, you have migrated this data center also into SD-WAN, but you still have these routers because you didn't want to disturb the traffic, right? It is a very simple use case. And and for the simplicity's sake, I'm not showing all those redundant connections, right? So just assume those are there, but I just want to showcase you how exactly the things are going to happen. So suppose I have a route here, which is maybe say A.A.A.0/24 on my branch 1. We have the route here B.B.B.0/24, and we have a subnet here, which is my X.X.X.0/24. Everything is there, controllers are there, we have vSmart, everything is there, right? So what exactly going to happen? First thing first, you have put these two edges into the data center. No problems. These data centers are up and running. They are taking the initial configuration from vManage. They are making DTLS tunnel with the vSmart, and they are just advertising it routes. So this vSmart is going to know about X.X.X.0/24 is reachable via data center TLOCs, right? No problems with respect to that. Now, what is going to happen? This device comes up again. The process is simple, right? So first thing first, it is going to make the another connection with the vSmart. With suppose everything is going, vBond connection is there, vManage is there, configuration is there. Now it is sending its route over the OMP connection, which is your A.A.A.0/24, which is received via branch 1 TLOC. If I say DC TLOC, I'm talking about this one. If I say branch TLOC, I'm talking about these one. As simple as that, right? So vSmart is going to have these two routes. Now, as you know, if they want to communicate with each other, then there is going to be another tunnel which we call as the IPsec. Now, everybody, vSmart is going to advertise these routes back, right? vSmart is going to say, if you want to reach to X.X.X.0/24, you can reach to DCT log. Here also, in this device also, you will be receiving this route. A.A.A.0 is receivable, /24 is receivable over branch 1 TLog. It means that now this edge know about branch 1 TLog and this edge know about DC TLog. It means that if they know these transport location, they can initiate an IPsec tunnel between them, right? And how the IPsec tunnel is going to look like? It is going to be over here. It is coming like this, here and here. The second tunnel is going to be on the different transport, which should be like this. So for the simplicity, I am showcasing here only the MPLS transport. This one is my MPLS transport, and this one is my internet transport. Otherwise, I need to draw 4 tunnels, but you can understand, right? So if there is a need of communication between the servers and the branch, we have discussed it many times. And let's show the traffic pattern with the maybe the blue color, or maybe the, yeah, let's show the traffic pattern with the blue color. So the now we have 2 tunnels right now, this one and this one. We need to prefer We can do load balancing. We can prefer, suppose we are preferring the MPLS tunnel for some traffic which is going from here to this data center. So the traffic is going to be coming like this over this tunnel, and then it is going like this. It is as simple as that, right? Now the question is how this guy is going to communicate to the branch which has not cut over or which has not been shifted to the SD-WAN. Any thoughts, guys? Is there any extra thing which we need to do here, or the communication can happen?
So sorry, Vishnu, can you repeat the question?
The
Sorry.
question is, I can see that the branch can communicate to the data center after migration, but do we need to do something extra so that this branch 1 can talk to branch 2, or it is going to be on its own?
In the default, I think behavior, it should be right. It should be talk to right away. If it's a yeah, it should be. Right?
Yeah. So if I say, then basically consider the path. Right now, this branch does not know anything about SD-WAN. It doesn't know anything about SD-WAN. But let's see if this guy, the guy somewhere sitting here, wants to talk to the branch 1, then at least at the first place, it should get the route first into the MPLS, because this is connected to the MPLS, right? So this MPLS cloud at the first place should know this route A.A.0, where exactly it is getting it from. So now we are not talking about underlay. Underlay is not the case. We do not know anything in underlay because everything is this yellow connections, right? But the good point is that the vSmart is sending this route to this VH, and now this VH is connected to this guy which is doing OSPF, right, which I mentioned. It means that this route is going to be advertised to this distribution switch. From this distribution switch, it is going to be advertised to this MPLS router, right? And then it is going into this MPLS cloud, and then through this MPLS cloud, this route is reachable here. It means that this device know that to reach A.A.A.0/24, it needs to send the traffic to the data center device, which is this one, because this is via the MPLS, right? This is as simple as that. So one part of the traffic path is done on its own without doing anything, right? So, but yes, you need to control this, that in OSPF, you should be advertising all these routes. So this guy, the branch 2 knows A.A.A.0. But how come this branch 1 knows B.B.B.0? Right? For that, let's see. Right now, as you can see, over this link, if I choose the yellow pen, over this link, we are running OSPF, right? And we are advertising this B.B.B.0 into the MPLS. Through this MPLS, it is reaching here. MPLS router is advertising this route into this distribution switch, right? Maybe OSPF or something. And then because you are connected over the service VPN, which is VPN 10, it is going to receive the route here, right exactly in the OSPF, right, into the VPN 10. And whatever is there in VPN 10, it is going to advertise to the vSmart, which eventually vSmart is going to advertise this to the branch. It means that this guy is also knowing about B.B.B.B. It means that the traffic basically can flow to and fro because we have the complete direction from source to destination as well as destination to source. But exactly how that direction is going to look like is pretty important to check. Let's see. Let's draw the traffic path with this, maybe with this, yeah, red color, right? So somebody is sitting into branch 2 here and wants to communicate to branch 1. So traffic is initiating like this. It is going over the MPLS. It is going over this router, moving to distribution switches, going to this SD-WAN router, and there, from there, basically, it is traveling over this tunnel and then communicating like this. And that is why basically you need to move this data center first so that it can bridge the gap between your non-data center site, sorry, non-SD-WAN sites with SD-WAN sites. Is it good, bad? Can you understand the traffic pattern, guys, here?
Yes, Vishal.
Perfect. So will you be able to migrate the existing WAN for a customer? I think means with this knowledge, and if you can read some more documents over it, means depending on the customer requirement, you can easily do it. Okay, and believe me, this is what knowledge I have, whatever I have shared with you, right? Although there are some case by case basis which we need to see some of the things, but most of the times the problem gets solved with simple routing, right? I do not need to do anything else. If you know routing well, you can be able to do the migration pretty easily. Okay, but you need to understand where my control connections are, what firewall ports I should need to open, where my controllers are. If I am able to make the connection to my controllers, am I able to get my initial configurations, right? I should be pretty much comfortable with that. And believe me, in those starting 16 or 18 sessions, we were just doing this. We were making sure that we are pretty good with the fundamentals. Again, I'm repeating one thing, that if you want to do any design of a technology, right, in a customer environment, if you want to do anything with respect to migration, first thing first, your technology understanding should be solid. And believe me, with those 16 or 18 sessions in your hand, your technology knowledge is just awesome, right? With that kind of knowledge, you can design the network, you can migrate the network. But the last thing which is still remaining is the concept of cloud on-ramp, right? We haven't discussed cloud on-ramp for infrastructure as a service. We haven't discussed for software as a service, right? So that is going to be our last session, which is the session number 23 and 24. And then basically uh, we can meet in some other session, or basically we can have a doubt class if you want to arrange. I am pretty happy with that also. Having said that, I am sitting here for some more time. If you have any doubt, any questions, please do clarify. But this is what I wanted to explain in the migration session. This was a long session. I can understand, but believe me, if you do not get any concept in this session, just see this recording, right? And hopefully, I have recorded it well, because the first time I am doing this recording on some other software other than the Microsoft Teams. So, any questions, guys, if I may ask? Amit, Virag, Jyoti, Rahul, Ashish ji.
Sir, how can
Mm-hmm.
Vishnu bhai,
Anji.
hello.
Yes, Virag.
Yeah. So once we complete this one, we will be able to in real devices how it's configured, the configuration, how it is happening on this. We'll be able to see.
Yeah,
You will be able to show us one.
with respect to templates, with respect to policies, everything is there on the hands-on videos, which I have shared in that uh, 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 Word file with you, right? Just spend some time, you will get to know everything, but you need to spend time, Virag, right? And
Yeah.
the approach of reading this complete course or reading this entire SD-WAN, just go through first these 16 videos, hands-on videos, try to create your own lab. Lab creation is important so that you can practice, and then start working on these 8 sessions, where we are talking just about how you are how you are make sure that you design a network from scratch, how you are going to migrate, and then the cloud and other things, right? So 24 hours of effort, I believe, but it's an effort which is really worthwhile. It can change your career direction, because in upcoming 5 years, believe me guys, every enterprise is going to move to SD-WAN. I'm not saying that they are going to move to Cisco's SD-WAN. There are so many solutions in the market for software defined WAN. Like we have Silver Peak, we have VMware solution, we have Versa. There are so many solutions along with Cisco, but the whole sole point is everybody is going to move into this SD-WAN space, right? If you understand at least one vendor well, there is not going to be a problem understanding other, because at the end of the day, everyone is doing this overlay underlay, nothing else, right? If you understand this solution, you can understand any solution, right? And that is why in the starting 2 or 3 sessions, I haven't taken a name of uh, Cisco's devices, Cisco's solution, right? So it is more of a generic perspective. But yes, we need to understand a vendor, and that is why we need to understand a particular solution. We have chosen Cisco because I really admire the solution. Okay, so spend time, and you means 24 hours here, and I have then 10 hours of recorded hands-on video, which are going to guide you step by step how you're going to create your lab, how you're working with the templates, policies, and believe me, there are some videos on application-aware routing and cloud on-ramp I'm going to record soon. Those will be available to you and basically to the general public also. Okay. Any doubt? Any questions apart from this? I think Neeraj, you had a question.
Yeah, sir. How to build the approach and during the topology selection?
Most of the time, customer is guiding you that what exactly he wants. He wants full mesh. He wants this. Otherwise, you need to educate to the
Yeah,
customer.
yeah, in the lab perspective, sir, I am talking.
Oh, in the lab perspective, I have a UNL file for you, right? You just create your lab and import that file. You will be getting it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And
Okay.
I think Neeraj, you are in Cisco. Then basically there is a WWT Worldwide Technologies. Our partner is there. If you can just open it, I can send you the link. They are going to give you the ready-made lab available. Everything is there. Means you do not even need to configure the certificates and all. Those are coming up with 2 vSmarts, 1 vManage, 1 vBond, and 12 edges. It is already there. You can leverage it. But do because most of the guys are booking on the WWT, then do it as soon as possible.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, perfect. Having said that, guys, let's meet for our next session, which is going to happen on next Saturday. If you want to join my TCP session also. It is really going to be very, very interesting because I have really done that from scratch. If you want, if you understand Hindi, just see the video which I prepared in Hindi for the TCP explanation. It is really from the scratch. If you do not know anything in TCP, you get to know most of the things. And
So when is this schedule? Sorry to interrupt. When is this schedule? This TCP schedule?
this TCP session is scheduled at next Sunday. So our batch is going to over next Saturday. Then Sunday, basically 9 to 12 p.m. of time. Sorry, AM. We are going to present this TCP. And already there are more than 150 registered user I have got. So I could see that people are really interested learning this TCP. So do not lose this opportunity. Or I will anyhow. I'm going to provide you that 10 hours video to the existing folks, whatever we have here. But I'm going to release them after 1 month or 1.5 months of time. But so if you want to learn TCP also, just have a look at it. Okay. So having said that,
Sure, sir.
yeah, having said that, bye for now. Have a nice day. And once again, Thanks for being a wonderful audience. Bye bye. Take care, guys.
Thank you.